Did y'all know that there were black surfers? I had no idea. I had no idea. And I know that sounds ridiculous and very much ignorant. I know. But there were black surfers, y'all. We're gonna get into it, okay? Tell you my thoughts about this book. I liked it. I liked it with some caveats, okay? Let's get into it. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Belle and this is the Belle Perspective, and today I'm coming at you with another book review. That's what I talk about on this channel: books, TV, movies, all sorts of things. Anything I can formulate an opinion on, that's what I'm talking about on this channel. And I'm coming at you with a review for Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. So you know I like to talk about the author. I'm going to try to rib in some of her things throughout the conversation, but let's get into the review first. So siblings Byron and Benny Bennett, they reunite over their mother's will, and she just recently passed, and they've reunited because they have been estranged for a very long time, probably 6 or 7 years, and they reunite over the reading of their mother's will. As they're learning their mother's will, they realize that the woman who raised them wasn't 100% honest with them. It wasn't 100% honest with them, and they are actually truly finding out how deep their roots go. And in this book, they're set out on a journey to hear their mother's true experience of life and see where that takes them. So I'll say that without spoiling, okay? So the concept of this book came to Charmaine when a younger relative texted Charmaine for the copy of their family's famous black cake, and it made her think about inheritance and how, we choose to keep some things closer to our hearts than others. And especially in a multicultural family like hers. She was fascinated by the idea of identity and tradition and how people bequeath these ideas through food and stories and things of that nature. Black cake, which is what this book is entitled after. Black cake is a dessert that originates in the Caribbean island, but it relies on influence from other countries as well. So it's an amalgamation of history and culture from all over the globe. And so that's how we get black cake. And that's pretty much the sum of the main characters in this book. Their background, their identity, who they are, how they identify, those kinds of things are pretty much a summary of how black cake is. It is little pieces of the globe all formulated together to all formulated to create something beautiful. Okay. So if you're someone who likes family dramas, but you oftentimes think that family stories go too slow, this might be the book for you. This might be the book for you. Charmaine does a really good job of pacing the small reveals about the siblings and their inheritance and where they come from and their mother and her history. She does a really good job with pacing them. And so this would be a really good story if you like family drama, but you don't want to spend a lot of time trying to trace back genealogy and all that other stuff. I enjoy doing that. It's not anything like the love songs of W.E.B. Du Bois. I read that book was about 800 pages, but I loved every minute of it. And it traced back genealogy and all that. This book, Black Cake, not so much. It just tell you such and such was related to such and such had a such and such, and we moving on. It was very fast. It was very fast paced. Anyway, let's get into the pros of what I liked about the book. Okay. So I learned a lot about Caribbean culture with this book. I'm an American girl. I know that is so American of me to say. Isn't that so American of me to say? I love the way that this book forced me to go down a historical rabbit hole, a cultural rabbit hole, and I learned so many things from that rabbit hole research, okay? Never mentions a specific island, but you later learn through interviews that I've watched with her, you later learn that she was actually referring to Jamaica. She has a way of vividly describing scenery, surroundings, actions like baking and and planting and swimming. She has a way of vividly describing verbs that is completely unmatched. The way that she describes things is so evocative that you literally feel like you're in the middle of baking a black cake or swimming in the ocean or pruning your garden. Like I mean, phenomenally evocative. That's how I would describe the way that she talks about the things that they're doing in the moment that they're doing them. Again, I had no idea black people surfed. Y'all, I know shame on me. Shame on me. Had no idea black people surfed. And again, I know it's quite American of me to say that. And so in my research, my rabbit hole that I went down in the research that I found, segregation, racism. Surprise, surprise. Okay. So, due to segregation and racism, Black folks had limited access to oceans and community pools. I also discovered a few documentaries that talked a lot about these different things. One of the documentaries that I came across was called Wade in the Water by David Mesbin. He specifically discussed how surfing was a tradition in some African cultures going back thousands of years. You would have never thought that, would you? I didn't. I didn't. You may know. You probably know. Baby, I did not know. I was like, what? What? Black people surf? I love to hear that. I also learned about famous black surfers such as Nick Gabaldon. I know I probably pronounced his name wrong, but shout out to him. Rest in peace, sir. You were and are a trailblazer. He's celebrated annually by groups and collectives, including Black Surfers Collective and Soulfly Surf School, as they combat the stereotype of black people not surfing and or swimming, right? And so I found so much tradition and heritage behind black surfers and people who are actually trying to teach other folks, teach inner city students, black students, students who wouldn't necessarily have access to beaches and community pools, etc., teaching them that you actually can surf and it is a part of African culture. Now let's get into the cons, y'all. Let's get into the cons. Now again, I would encourage anybody to read this book. Please read this book. It is good. It is very good. It is a little bit of a slow burn in the beginning, but once you get into it, it's good. It really is good. So the book touches on so many subjects, y'all. Now, again, I told you it was fast paced. So if you like fast paced family drama, boom, 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 this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, and they wrap it up, the end, then you're going to love that. For me, I don't know. Okay. And so let me help you understand why I'm saying that. Because the book touches on so many topics, and these are not light-hearted topics. These are heavy, heavy topics. So identity, mixturing of cultures, reconciling with your past. What else? What else? It talks about so many other things that I don't feel like the book properly dove into a lot of the things to explain. Now, I do want to say that this book is still PG 13, right? I would say it's like a PG 13 kind of book. Although they're talking about some heavy subjects, she really doesn't get too in the weeds with anything, right? She doesn't like dive in and give detailed description of anything that happened that would be traumatic or anything. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. It's very surface and she leaves it up to your imagination, which is helpful for those who are not trying to get into the gory detail. And it hits on a lot of plot points very quickly without stopping to let the characters or the readers reflect on what's actually happening within the story. So we're diving into some deep topics. We're talking about SA, adoption, DV, sexual identity, gambling addictions, police brutality, cultural appropriation. I mean, everything but the kitchen sink you can potentially think about is happening in this book, but it's going so fast that you don't have an opportunity to get any insights into the journey of the character. You don't really get an opportunity to just breathe. There is no realistic pause and reflect kind of thing. And I don't know if I like that, okay? Because the book lacks the deeper reflection that I needed, a lot of the plot points were forgettable for me. right? So I know a lot of this happened, but I can't remember when, how, do you know what I mean? Like, because it was just so many things that I'm like, okay, now wait a minute, it happened to who and where and what again? And I just don't think if you're going to be talking about these heavy, if you're going to talk about these heavy topics, you definitely need to give the the character an opportunity to reflect and give insight on how this affects their journey, but also give the reader an opportunity to flush it out and think about how it affects the reader's journey and the reader in relation to the character. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, it was just a little too fast paced for me. And I imagine anybody who likes fast paced, you'll like that. But I just was like, girl, what? Huh? Okay. Anyway, overall, I would rate this book a 3.5 out of 5. That's right. I would recommend this book 3.5 out of 5. I do recommend you read it. Read it, read it, read it. It wasn't an unenjoyable read. It definitely was enjoyable. There was a lot going on, and I enjoyed it. I just felt like she was throwing the kitchen sink at us. That's it. That's my only qualm, my only complaint. Again, I like the way she unraveled the story. The coverage on the topics were a little too superficial for me, but again, it's not a hell no. It's a pick it up, read it. You might like it because it is fast paced. It is. All right. Check out it premiered actually November 1st, about a month ago. Black Cake on Hulu. I think it's a weekly series, maybe. I am not watching it. I watched the first episode and just was like, no, I'm not going to be able to relive this. I did like how they rearranged some of the story. So some parts in the story that happened towards the end actually happened earlier in the mini series. So I like the way they're doing that. I think that's helpful to get the pacing together and provide a little bit more explanation as to who the characters are, especially Benny and Byron. Let me know if you plan on reading the book. I do think it's worth a read. I do. And get down in the comments. Let me know if you've read the book, what you thought. If you're watching the series, what did you think? If you're not going to watch the series, why? If you're not going to read the book, why not? Tell me what you think. Let me know what you're reading, because this is the holiday season, y'all. I have at least 8 books on my Amazon cart on the way. Just some news real quick before I go. I've decided to end Black Lituations. Wasn't getting a whole lot of participation. It would be hit or miss here and there. And so I decided that the book club was probably just a little bit too much for me in terms of stretching. So if anyone is still interested in connecting with me to talk about any of the books that I'm reading, and if you want to do something like one-on-one where we connect one-off here and there, obviously get in the comments and let me know what you think. For sure, I would absolutely love to, because I'm always going to read something, and I always love to have someone to talk about it with. So get down in the comments, let me know what you think, talk to me. Don't forget to like this video before you leave, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.